Just when you thought it was over, we started it over. Just a different chapter, but still part of the story. Spirit of a patriot, but the heart of a soldier. If you wasn't part of the grind, you can't be part of the glory. We right here, we ain't going nowhere. It's your worst nightmare. We back and they all scared. Every year is our year. The defense is top tier. Whenever you see that red and blue, it's a new era. They too scared of us. I don't know who said it was over, but they lied. The truth never miss. Kicking down the door like who let him in. We been grinding and we ain't worried about the small talk. We big timers.
Yeah, can't believe it. We ain't leaving. Yeah, we achieving. Can't be beaten. See it loud, see it proud from the top of my lungs. Hometown, take a crown. You ain't trying with us. Around this time, you really can't deny. You can't run, you can't hide when the Patriot comes.
What's up? How y'all doing?
All right. Well, we're kind of talking a little off camera. This was supposed to be a good day, right? We got Stefon Diggs. That's pretty awesome. Yeah. But then, a couple hours ago, we find out Jawan Bentley is out the door.
Yeah.
It kind of makes sense just with, all the signings, but, I feel like we should have kept Bentley around.
Yeah.
He's been our best linebacker since he's been here.
I mean, the middle linebacker is the captain of the defense. That's what Jawan Bentley was.
Right.
So, you remove the captain like that, and
you're his number one fan. Every single podcast, you always bring him up.
I like Bentley. Being coming from the 5th round in the 2018 draft.
Mm-hmm.
I said I believe he got hurt week 3 his rookie season. And he grinded. I didn't see him being the player that I'm not gonna sit and act like he's was this all pro, but he was a good player for the Patriots. And
he led our team in tackles for multiple years in a row.
Yeah,
it was awesome.
A big fixture to the run defense, because we could go on down the line. If we look back from 2018 all the way till last year, what he was on, maybe 3 units that maybe weren't in the top 10 of the league.
Right.
Last year, I think, they were top 10 the year before. I think the 2020 season, they weren't in the top 10.
Yeah, but he's the only captain remaining is Cardona now after getting rid of him. That's another captain that we've kicked out the door.
Yeah, Jabril gave his captain badge back last year. I could see him getting cut probably, depending on if they get another safety in the draft. It doesn't. I would have to say that Jelani Tavai's out the door because
I'm surprised he wasn't first. Out of all the players,
he has to. He has to come now. He has to come, and so now once he's out the door, you re-sign Christian Ellis. He's supposed to be a special teams guy. Who did they bring in? Gibbons or whatever his name is. They brought in Spillane.
Spillane, Landry, technically. I mean,
he's
more of an edge. But
we're talking about the guys that's going to be playing in the middle of this defense.
When we signed Spillane, I could see there being someone getting kicked out to make him a starter. I didn't realize it was going to be Bentley. I thought it would be him and Bentley.
Yeah,
but I guess he failed his physical. So, there is a legitimate reason. I'm interested to see because that was a serious injury, so I'm surprised they didn't give him more time to recover and try to get back to it.
Mm-hmm.
But he failed his physical, so I guess technically that makes sense. But I feel like you could have given him more time. But time's money, right? But it sucks because he like I said, he led our team in tackles for years in a row. And he's a long-time captain. And another staple on the defense is gone. The defense, we have so many players that we re-signed on defense last year, but it seems like it's a completely new defense at this point. We're just getting rid of everyone.
You know who's running the show now. So,
right.
Like I said, with the Spillane signing, him and Bentley play styles are very similar. Mm-hmm. Not very good in pass coverage, but they're downhill run stoppers, and Spillane's a little faster. So, because if you look at it from that standpoint, it would make sense. But honestly, this is Mike Vrabel. I think you're probably going to see a linebacker in probably the early rounds, probably as early as the third round, because you have an extra pick there. So, I could see it probably coming in about the third round, which would be appropriate if you want a margin, a pretty good linebacker. You know what I'm saying? Because there's not many that come in the league anymore that's going to come out the first round like a Roquan Smith. Because I actually think he's the only linebacker taken in the first round, I think, in the last few years to make Pro Bowls and all pros and things like that. Because just thinking on top of my head, Isaiah Simmons was a bust when he went 8th in the 2020 draft. That was a linebacker. Kenneth Murray, we traded that pick to the Chargers 23rd in the 2020 draft. He didn't turn out. Yeah, like I said, you can't really name too many linebackers that went early on that was the guy coming in. So besides Roquan, so let's say we probably see another one going into the third round. It's just, now we can say we really don't have we don't know what's gonna happen. You understand what I'm saying? Before, it was once the team was under Bill and everything else, we kind of knew a lot of the same players. It was easy to tell where the upgrades came at and who, who could possibly stay and who just wasn't cutting it on the team.
Yeah, we knew what Bill was looking for, and it was always the same players kind of going in and out, so it was pretty easy. With Vrabel, I'm getting a little concerned with how many Titans players he's bringing over, how many of his guys he's bringing over, and how many of our guys he's kind of kicking out.
Right.
That does concern me a little bit because, it's the Titans, right? They aren't a good team.
Right.
I think Spillane will start to really love once we get to really see him more in the media and playing out there. I think personality-wise we will, but I don't know, getting rid of David Andrews, Juwan Bentley, these guys are staples. Jonathan Jones, right? Super Bowl champions, they've been around for a while. And then just to get a bunch of Titans players, it's kind of especially where almost all the Titans players are on defense. So it's it's not a lot to be excited about with it, but it does make me a little concerned because even the front office and the coaches and stuff, it's all his guys.
Yeah, they seem like yes men now. Last year, front office didn't appear that they know what they were doing. This year, it looks like they're yes men. Like you said, it is a lot of former Titan guys, and it's not the Titans were they did get to the AFC Championship when he was a coach there. I'm not even trying to take anything away from Vrabel, but I'm gonna be honest. It's not they were this powerhouse. I can make an analysis where, they were a good team. They had a stacked defense, very good defense, which you probably would expect. Yep. And the quarterback wasn't very good. Obviously, we know that because he single-handedly handed Joe Burrow a freaking win in the playoffs when he threw, every time they took it back, 9 sacks on Joe Burrow. The Titans took the Bengals to the woodshed that year. They went to the Super Bowl, but Ryan Tannehill just repeatedly gave it back. Yeah. And when you have Derrick Henry, a strong run game like that, plus a defense, you're gonna see some success. It's just point blank simple because you're not putting the ball in harm's way and you're moving it efficiently. When you can move the ball on the ground and get points like that, and your defense is not giving up a lot of points, you're going to be a very good football team. We've seen it in Mac Jones' rookie season.
Right.
Our run offense was 6th in the league. That was Damian Harris's best year, probably his only healthy year in New England.
Right.
With him and Ramondre Stevenson together, that turned out to be very good. Look at the win up in Buffalo. All it took was James Harris, one cut, take it to the end zone. That's all it took for us to win that windy game.
Right. Yeah.
So, that formula, I can kind of see that formula. So if it's all right, he's going to grab a bunch of defensive guys.
Yeah. And what's crazy,
your running back coming too.
Yeah. With that formula, you're saying, right, it was Ryan Tannehill. With us, it was Mac Jones. Right. This is the best quarterback we've had in this type of system. So, I see why he's doing it. I don't have any problems with it. I think if the players that you brought in are the right guys, it's going to be a hell of a combo with Drake May being on there. I mean, yeah, by far the best quarterback that he's had in the system, and the best one we've had since Brady.
And look who his offensive coordinator is. Like
right.
we're probably not going to have no type of like, oh, Josh McDaniels is calling the wrong play. Oh, it's this, it's that. Like it's either like this year we probably going to look at the offense like, look, not that we got out coach, we probably don't got enough talent or something of that sort. Last year it was like we didn't even know whether to point to the play.
Right, it was everything.
Yeah, because or the players because it's like. It's not an apples to apples argument. I know everybody's like, oh, well, you guys have been struggling for the last couple of years, this, that, and the third. It's not an apples to apples argument because Mac Jones, I truly believe in my heart, and I don't feel like anybody with any 2 cents of football couldn't see it that Mac Jones was a problem, that he possibly held the team back. Drake May came in and over-exceeded with guys that the league didn't consider to be that talented or this, that, and the third. So now let's say you take those same group of receivers minus a few, maybe a Kendrick Bourne, because some wide receivers are about to get cut. Kendrick Bourne may be on the chopping block. I don't know what happens with Booty. I can see them trying to flip him for a pick because they did get him in the 7th round.
Oh, I want to keep him.
I want to keep him too, but
I think
look at all the guys, and then you got to give Pope a chance.
Yeah,
Baker
I don't think
last year in the 4th round.
Yeah, I'm interested with Baker if they really think that he's like going to be a guy, like I think he stays. But if there's not a lot of confidence, I could see him just going to the practice squad or something like that. Just the lack of production is just crazy.
I don't feel like they should cut him just off the simple fact of, like I said, every chance we get, they're taking shots at the coaching staff last year. Oh, we wasn't ready for this. We wasn't ready for that. So. Okay, let's see what happens this year with a competent offensive coordinator. If Josh McDaniels can't get it to work with him, then I'll accept it. But at the same time, like I said, you guys brought in Mac Hollins and Stefon Diggs. Now, what did Mac Hollins sign for? Because, I've seen Bill do it a lot. We sign a player, and then by the time training camp is over or something like that, they done cut him and he really didn't see any money because I actually heard former NFL players talking about like certain contracts that say this is how much they make.
Two for 8.4.
He's fighting for a roster spot. I would say so because you got to think if he gets beaten out by Booty, Pop Douglas, they're cheaper than him. So why would you keep the guy for 2 years at $8 million when you got 2 7th round picks that you're paying peanuts right now? That's going to give you margin about the same production, if not better than that. And you can constantly possibly have either both or one of them on the field as a starter with Stefon Diggs playing on the opposite side.
Right. Yeah.
So Mac Hollins may be fighting for a spot, but then also as we talk about Booty and Douglas, where the hell does Jalen Pope fit in at all this? Because did we take a guy in the 2nd round for him to be the 3rd option, the 4th option in the offense? That's what it all goes down to.
Like, it's funny because like I feel like this is like the 5th year in a row we've had a crowded receiver room going into the offseason. Like I feel like it's every single year, but it's everyone that's like on the same playing field. So it's always been so hard to kind of figure out who's going to stay because they're all like the same type of player. They're all like a receiver 3, 4, and 5.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of sucks.
And your wide receiver 1, like we're hoping that he can return at least to 75% of what he was. I mean, if he gets back to 100, then
let's talk about we haven't even really brought it up, but Stefon Diggs is a New England Patriot. Originally, when there was like people were kind of talking about him coming in and he had like the visit and stuff, I really wasn't the biggest fan. There's like all that off-field stuff and he had the ACL and all that kind of stuff. I wasn't really in on him in the age, but I mean, I don't know if you watched the press conference today, but
I like him.
Yeah, it kind of lit me up. I like the post of Vrabel and when Vrabel was a player, that kind of stuff, and so I think he's really bought in.
Right.
It's hard. I feel like I was kind of talking about this a couple of days ago. I feel like I'll get really excited about getting Diggs if we draft a receiver with our 4th pick. because then he's like the second tier receiver potentially, or at least he's like a 1A, 1B. And I think that's the best way to be able to use him because we don't really know how he's going to be after the ACL. I mean, right, with the Texans, he was 1,000-yard or on pace for 1,000 yards, but we don't really know how he's going to be. He's 32. He's going to be 32 when the season starts.
Right.
And he's coming off this injury. If we can get, a Travis Hunter or a Ted McMillan or something, the Matthew Golden, something like that, kind of in the first round, then I would be really excited to have Stefon Diggs. I'm excited because obviously his resume speaks for itself.
Put the load on him.
Right, but like that's the thing. It's like I don't know how much we're gonna be able to, utilize him like that, like as a number one. So I think if we get another guy, then it's gonna be lights out.
Yeah, that's a legitimate concern. Just based off, like I said, we know who he is as the player, but coming here, having to elevate that wide receiver room and to come off an ACL injury and to put basically the offense on his lap, it's right to have concern that what if that does backfire on us, and then it's gonna suck because we went out our way, paid him 3 years, $69 million. I'm not, like I said, I'm not saying that he's worth it, and I'm sitting here rooting. I hope that at the age 31, he can, he can give us something. Because I haven't seen it. Usually when wide receivers hit that age, I really haven't seen them be like anywhere near the old form. Look at Julio.
Yeah, the
latter part of his career.
The only one that people have brought up is it's kind of funny. It's Edelman. Edelman was 31 when he tore his ACL, and then he kind of came back, had a couple career years. So that's kind of cool to see that someone that was on our team kind of went through a similar thing. But
right. But also, people gotta understand we had Rob Gronkowski. Around those times and things like that. Like there were a lot of other guys that would just tear you up over the middle of the field. Because who do you want to worry about? Do you want to worry about Gronk? You're not going to give it that linebacker.
Yeah. And also, Edelman's like one of the toughest receivers to ever play the game. Like he's just a different breed when it came to just like wanting to be on the field. So it's going to be different. I mean, Stefon seems like he's super motivated, so I'm excited, but I'm definitely very. I think there's a lot of risks. The money wise, at least the contract wise, like I don't really care. It sounds like it's technically a 1-year deal, even if it's not right. $23 million a year, like we have the most cap space in the NFL. Like I couldn't care less about money.
They can move one after 2 years if they wanted to.
Yeah, like the money means nothing to me. I don't see that being a concern. $23 million when Jamar Chase is making 40, double his salary basically. Right, I think 23 is fair.
Who cares how much money that's sitting there that you guys don't spend? Like I think back to the quote when people were asking about the Patriots. I think when we fell 2020, what did Bill say? We sold out. I think he said for 5 years.
Yeah,
we made 4 Super Bowl appearances, won 3 of them, and so now we have no money. I can accept, you having all them dollars on the back end and still losing, can't accept that. And I can accept it. That right there is an answer that anybody can get behind. We sold out for 5 years, made 4 Super Bowl appearances and won 3 of them. So now we have
everyone would take that.
And despite what people say about, the whole Bill and Tom dynamic, they spent everything, like all those resources at the end, like Tom's latter years in New England, were to accommodate him. I'm not saying that Bill probably didn't want to move on at some point, but if you really look at how they were spending and the guys they were bringing in, they were accommodating him. There was no top crazy free agent defensive players coming into the Patriots around those times. They were getting offensive things like that could just maximize the roster. Besides, like, let me correct myself, Stephon Gilmore. Other than that,
or Terrell Revis, but like those were like one players, and they weren't around.
Up until we paid Milton, Gilmore was the most we've ever paid for a free agent to come from another team to come here and play. And I think that was like 5 years, $70 million, something like that.
Yeah, right.
So, like I said, I think the team, you can't say that they didn't get better. They did. It's just maybe certain units and the continuity of the team kind of has me a little bit worried as far as like, okay, how quick are we going to pick this up? And it's clear that you're trying to bring in your Titans culture. So, like I didn't know what to expect from Mike Vrabel considering, okay, he took a year off. The defensive coordinator's coming from the Detroit Lions system. You know what I mean? Is anything going to come over from there? Like, and it possibly could, but it looks like a Tennessee remake.
Yeah, it's a very new team, which that might be a challenge for us. Is all the new players learning how to play with each other in like a little bit of an off season, right? It's almost a completely new team, which we were kind of expecting because of how bad we were. But like, I think that's gonna be a pretty big challenge, right? It's all new coaching staff, basically all new starters. It's gonna be a big uphill battle just to kind of get everyone on the same page, I feel like. But if Vrabel's bringing in that right culture, then that's gonna help. But it's a lot of people, a lot of new people that need to buy in all together. Like they all have to like be able to play with each other, which they haven't done yet.
Yeah, because you finished back-to-back seasons being below the Jets. Like,
right.
Right. You know what I mean? Like how do you feel about that? Because it just comes down to this. The Patriots, as new as they are, we might be all right within our own division because we don't know. Like Miami, I think that fizzled out pretty quickly. Everybody talking about them as Super Bowl contenders, that faded out after a season. So Miami, I feel like we're very capable of beating them. Very, very, very capable of beating the Miami Dolphins. Because as much as, we talk about the speed and everything else, those guys are getting older too. Jalen Waddle probably still be effective, but I think we got a secondary now that kind of contain that. So Tua Tagovailoa, our defensive line, I think with Milton Williams right there in the middle, if Keon White can play the whole season how he played the first couple games into the season, then I feel like we should see something very spectacular. And then Keon White's defense, he was getting double teamed a lot, I think, because they realized like, hey, this is the only guy on their line that's capable of even like for real. So
yeah, don't sleep on Keon. I think with Barmore and Milton, they're gonna get a ton of the heat. So I think Keon's gonna really open up. And Vrabel, I forget which podcast he was on, but he was talking about that he's really excited to work with Keon. He's just like an athletic freak. So that's been pretty cool to see. I think he's going to have a lot less attention, which will be nice.
Right. Like what we can hope for now is that, Shador has a pro day sometime next week, and then he's doing a private workout for the Browns and I think the Titans maybe. Somebody. What we can hope for is that he blows the Browns away because it seems like Cam Ward's going to go number one.
Yeah.
And hopefully in these private workouts and everything. Like I said, I think Shador's a pretty good player. Him going to Cleveland, I mean, I just think they cursed on quarterbacks. But
it's either him or Abdul Carter, it seems like. So
they have something. I mean, Cleveland, let's be real. It's good to talk about because, like, certain players is like, oh, who – this guy's good, that guy's good. But, like, all you're doing is just loading up on riches. Like, yeah, you need somebody else on the opposite side of Myles Garrett. But when you're talking about you need a quarterback too, do you really need another dominant edge rusher? Because when we're talking about who's affecting these games, like really getting down to these championships and shit, like a lot of these top edge rushers in the league, or any of them even on, like, championship teams, like who would your top edges be?
Max Crosby, TJ, I guess Hendrickson from the Bengals, Michael Parsons, right? Those are top five. None of them are on.
You get what I'm saying?
Well, let's talk about like contender teams, right? Bills, they technically have Joey Bosa, but I don't.
Yeah, he wasn't there.
Right, they had no one. Chiefs. It's Chris Jones, but he plays in the middle.
Von Miller did come up big for them in that one playoffs, but they got no Super Bowl out of it, so it doesn't even matter.
Eagles, they just have everyone everywhere.
Yeah.
Like they don't have like one specific guy.
Yeah.
Ravens don't have anyone. Right?
They do it collectively.
Lions.
Who's that pass rusher they took from Penn State? Owe? I think he had he had like 11 and a half sacks this past year. I think he had a big jump.
But then like Rams, Jared Verse, he's in the middle. I think you can say there's more of a trend of people in the middle than being on the edge. I think the only contender that has someone on the edge really is the Lions.
The Chiefs. I like Karlaftis. Karlaftis is pretty good.
He's not top 5.
No, hell no.
But like we're talking about like these guys who are just like super elite, like Miles Garrett.
No, none of them are on like crazy like contending teams. Like I said,
look what Miles Garrett has done for the Browns besides like statistics. Like they haven't won shit.
Exactly.
Like he hasn't changed the needle for them. But he's like one of the greatest defensive edges we've ever seen.
Yeah, because
right? I mean,
he needs help now. Paired him with a quarterback that can close out a game. Now you're talking about something different. That's what I said. Like, are you going to choose the guy that can close out the game? Or are you going to choose the guy that, you may get some sacks and everything else throughout the season, but once you coming to me with 17 and a half sacks, and we can't get out of the first round of the playoffs, or we didn't even make the playoffs.
Right.
Like how good is that? Like, you're going to sell tickets anyway. You're an NFL franchise. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You're going to sell tickets anyway. You know what I'm saying? Unless you're just completely just incompetent and at the bottom of the bottom, which Cleveland is. But they got good pieces there. Jerry Jeudy showed you he has potential to be a number 1 receiver when a quarterback is actually giving him the ball.
Nick Chubb.
Nick Chubb, who knows what he is coming back from the ACL. They got Denzel Ward over there. Martin Emerson's a pretty good corner. Myles Garrett, obviously. You know, Jeremiah Wusu-Koromora, the linebacker from Notre Dame that they took a couple years ago. Grant Delpit. Who's the other corner on the other side? Greg Newsome. You know, Cleveland, like, offensively, like, they could get better, but they're not exactly, like, out of the water when it comes to trying to rebuild the team. See, the Patriots' problem is they don't have a receiver. A lot of these other teams that need quarterbacks, they have receivers in place already. That could be these quarterbacks' best friend. Tennessee has Calvin Ridley. Like I said, regardless of what you think about Jerry Jeudy, he can be a very good starter in the NFL. And then you go down to New York. You got Malik Neighbors there now. Obviously, you know he's going to be a dog. And then you get to New England. They have nobody. Who's after us? Jags has Brian Thomas Jr. But that's sitting there at 6, Garrett Wilson.
Raiders have Brock Bowers.
And freaking Jacoby Myers. Like, if I just continue to sit there and keep going down the list, the Patriots is probably the only team in this. But you can make the argument they have the best quarterback out of all 10 of those teams I just named.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Best quarterback out of all 10 of those teams I just named. So it's like Cleveland, take the damn quarterback. Next year's supposed to be a better draft anyway. So could you look at it as, okay, a skilled player, like, do you need another corner right now? Do you need another wide receiver right now? So I would ask that about Travis Hunter. So if I'm Cleveland, I'll take that off the board. Do I need another edge rusher right now? Well, it's nice to have. It's nice to have, definitely, but at the end of the day, who's going to be throwing the damn ball? I didn't see Cleveland make no offseason signings.
No, the only thing that's been popping up is Kirk Cousins, which, like, that's crazy. I feel like you can't.
I heard they're trying to get Dak Prescott, too. Who knows how fucking.
Yeah, I saw that rumor. There's no way. That'd be so insane.
Honestly, I don't. Dak's not a bad quarterback. Just every quarterback's not made to win championships.
Yeah,
considering he was a 4th round pick.
Yeah, the $60 million price tag just kind of makes it not.
But that's Jerry Jones' fault. But, like, be honest, that's the owner's fault that likes to wait to pay his players. Look what Cincinnati just had to pay for Jamar Chase.
They're idiots.
That's what I'm saying. This is what happens when you have a good player, but you're sitting there trying to tell yourself, before I pay him this money, let me see him one more year. Are you crazy? Just like Dallas, y'all going to sit there and keep waiting to pay Micah Parsons until another edge that's in that same class. Wait, somebody did just get paid. Max Crosby.
Yeah. Well, Parsons just came out. I saw a report that he wants $200 million. Like, look what you've done. You waited this time, and now he's asking for $200 million.
That's what I'm saying. It's better.
Like, that's crazy.
Get this done now. Buffalo seen what Kansas City did and got smart. You see Josh Allen's contract? Bro, like, there's no need for me to sit here and keep giving you 5-year contracts when you done showed me that you're above the rest for the first 5 years. So if I have to eat the next 10 years that, like, all right, it didn't work out, nobody's going to sit there and tell me that I was stupid for giving you the money.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They're going to look at the player as he's the failure. Nobody's going to sit there and say that I'm stupid for giving you the money. So then that's their problem. You want to sit here and keep waiting to pay players when you see other players that's about to come up on contract negotiations, other great defensive edges that we talk about Michael Parsons as he's the 1B to Myles Garrett, which respectfully, I would say that he is. Listen, Michael Parsons can ball flat out. So we'll give him that. Why would you sit here and wait for the guys underneath him that's on teams that possibly have the funds to pay these players, to overpay them not to leave? But I'm going to wait till after you to pay my player.
Yeah, I have no idea what they're doing.
Like, you know it's what's going to happen.
Let Michael Parsons come up to you, and he can just be like, hey, this is what I'm looking for. Like, first day of off season. Just have him come up to you, and then just do it right then and there. Whatever, like, because before you probably could have gotten him for like 35. Right. Now you're talking about over 40.
Yeah, because now you're going to have to put him in the conversation of, okay, I want to be paid more than Jamar Chase.
Right, and then you're totally screwed because him and Dak Prescott are $100 million in cap space together.
And then you still got CeeDee Lamb. You're going to have to sign him to another contract coming up. So it's like teams like that, if you're going to do that, your scouting department and your drafting ability has to be off the charts. Like the Cincinnati Bengals, I can tell you what the Cincinnati Bengals are going to look like over the next couple of years. The Cincinnati Bengals are going to load up on defensive talent in these drafts because they already know, like, we don't need to take no receivers. We're already paying 2 guys big money. Tight end, why bring in an all-star tight end, and that's another guy to pay on offense. Running back, I'm pretty sure is devalued over there in Cincinnati, just so to speak, to say that. Because, like I said, we're not about to pay you top money. Now, where the money really is going to fuck with them at is if the offensive line is not good.
Right.
The offensive line is not good, and you can't get somebody in there. This whole Super Bowl tour run, you got a problem. You're going to have a major problem right there because considering you're still going to have Kansas City, even though they got their butts kicked last year, they're going to still be a powerhouse again. Buffalo, they got Josh Allen, so we know.
Yeah, they're going to be a powerhouse again.
Yeah, we know what to expect with them. The Ravens.
Ravens are their biggest threat.
Right, and they seem to get good players, and they have so many good players over there, almost to the point kind of like how the Eagles are. No matter who they bring in there, they're going to shine a little bit because there's so many other good players around them that some of these guys that are getting off, they're not even a part of the scouting report. Probably not even a part of the game plan. But maybe you tackled them been getting worked by your top edge rusher all game, and late in game now you put your speed rusher guy that all he can do is rush the passer in late in the game. Might close it out.
Yeah. I think the Bengals made themselves very one-dimensional, not only on offense, but as a team in general. Like, they're going to be pretty easy to kind of pick apart.
Absolutely.
Right? Because the third of the space is just between the 3 guys, and there's talks of trying to pay Trey Hendrickson, which I don't know how they're going to be able to do that. That's crazy. But if they are, half their cap space is between 4 players.
Yeah. And honestly, the league created this problem for themselves because, for one, a lot of coaches aren't given enough time on the job to fully develop and fill out a roster So there's a lot of revolving doors of GMs and coaches. And now, let's say the other GM went out and spent the God load of money, and what they thought was going to work, it doesn't work. Now it's in the trash. Now you got to get the coach out. You got to get the GM out. Pray to God you have a quarterback that any coach would just want to come in and work with, because now you're going to be required to draft a quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully you got a left tackle in place. Hopefully you got an edge rusher in place. Some other piece on that roster that's going to have to prevent you from going out to grab a guy at a high value during the rebuild. So, like I said, I feel like the NFL created this problem in themselves. That's why guys are getting paid, not panning out, because maybe the coaching staff that brought him in seen one vision for him, and now you brought another guy in, and that's not his vision. And like how we sit here and talk about players' contracts, maybe other coaches and stuff like, yo, those guys are crazy for paying that guy that. But yeah,
I wonder if that's what's going on with the Cowboys, right? They just got a new head coach who was on the offensive side. Maybe that's the reason that Parsons is not getting paid so quickly. Mm-hmm. Maybe he has like his say in it. But yeah, I mean, yeah, you can't wait. You gotta sign these guys now. That's crazy.
That media is getting Parsons.
He's gonna have an insane contract.
Because like realistically, right? Let's say I hired you to be a coach of my team, right?
Mm-hmm.
Say the coach of the Raiders. So we're stuck in the division with the Chiefs. The Chargers hasn't got over the hump yet, but they appear that they have the ability to. We just don't know if we'll ever see it.
Mm-hmm.
Who else is over there? Raiders, Chargers,
Broncos.
They looked good last year. They looked like they got their quarterback in the door. So I hand you my job at the Raiders and listen, fix this roster up for me, everything. Woo, these last couple years, for the last 2 years in a row, we've been 13 and 14 back to back. I need this roster build up. You come in, let's say you only won about 4 games, and it looks disastrous. Now the media starts calling for your job. I'm sitting here pondering, damn, I didn't do this right. I maybe didn't hire the right guy. But let's fire him. What was the expectation of when you give somebody a job like that and you know you have a powerhouse in your division, not to mention a team that has leaped up that possibly could be in contention with the second team in your division? But I expect you to have everything right in the year. And if you don't, I'm going to fire you.
Right. It's an impossible situation. It's a bad roster in a division. I mean, just the Chiefs alone, right? They're a dynasty. Right? You're dealing with a dynasty, and your team can barely win 6 games every single year. And that leads to like no culture being built. Right? There's no vision for the team, like you're saying. Right? It's just a new vision every single time. So, right, when you're like, okay, we're going to be offensive heavy, we're getting a quarterback. Guy, right, disaster, gets fired. Next year, hey, I'm a defensive guy. I want a good defense. Pick a defensive guy. Now the offense struggles because it's a defensive guy, and the focus is shifted. And then each year just keeps shifting and shifting and shifting. And each time the scheme is different. So now the players that were brought in before don't fit the scheme, but now the new guys are coming in, they're not as good, right? It's just like constant, just roller coaster to just disaster and changes and
and that's just literally how the door just keeps going. And some teams, you see why they never win. Why? They're constantly hitting the reset button. And not saying that every coach that came in possibly deserved the job, but if you're going to do this and we're literally laying this out, all right, what do we need to do to win the Super Bowl? Okay, well, yeah, we have this coach. Maybe it looks good for the first season, but some things, what can you bring in to support him? Aside from players, does he need another coach on staff? You know what I mean? Do you need to change your scouting methods? What is it?
Right. If Will Levis can get more than 1 year, like coaches should be getting more than 1 year. Exactly. Like players like Will Levis, like if we're giving all these guys, second chances and stuff, right? Anthony Richardson, right? Why does he deserve a second chance more than a head coach?
Right. Because you're going off of his traits. His traits has been there, God knows how long. Like he's just not what you're trying to envision him to be, because you took him as the third pick in the draft. I think he was the first one in the common draft era to get drafted that high at quarterback with something. It was something that he didn't have to his resume. But if
he
you
sucked.
look at his tape,
yeah,
bro, he's not he's like Joe Milton. Honestly, that's like taking Anthony Richardson last year that high is like somebody taking Joe Milton.
Yep.
If he came out of this draft right now.
Exactly.
At the third pick in the draft.
Yep. Oh, he's 6'6", 250 pounds, and has a rocket of an arm, but he can't
what else?
Fucking in the middle of the field for his life. Yeah, let's take him 4th overall.
Yeah, let's say right.
Joe Milton and Anthony Richardson. Yeah, easily.
Shane Steichen to get him right. Look what he did to Jalen Hurts. Shane Steichen to get him right. That's what I said. Do we really know what's going on in these buildings? Who we can attribute this person being good, that person being good? Honestly, what it comes down to is Philly is stacked. And I have a friend that is a diehard Eagles fan. I'm talking about he done been to their Super Bowls. Everyone that done been in recent memory, he's done been to all those. He's a season ticket holder, everything. We talk about this all the time. He admits it. No, Hurts wouldn't be this good on any other team. We know it's the team because they have everything. Like I told him, I said, listen, anybody that argues different, just tell them look at not last year's tape, but the tape before the year before when y'all went 6-7 down the stretch. Why? A.J. Brown was demanding the ball. Now you're asking Jalen Hurts to do what? Be a passer. That's not how they went. You went out, you got Saquon Barkley, took a lot of pressure off him. Yeah, he put up a good game in the Super Bowl, but with those type of receivers and that type of running back,
it's hard.
That defense, it's hard not to be successful. But we all see times where he can't read the middle of the field. So if you was to strip some of those things away, that's what you got. So it's like all this credit that sometimes we give to certain people that, oh, this player looks good, that player looks good, or we can credit this. Philly had I think they had the easiest schedule in the league that year. Like I said, last year, I ain't going to take it from them. They did their thing. But that year where they were claiming that Jalen Hurts was supposed to be an MVP, it's an MVP where take his rushing yards away. His numbers with those weapons look like Mac Jones' rookie season. Passing yard-wise, everything. Touchdowns. He just had less interceptions than Mac. Probably about 3 or 4.
Yeah. This past year, I don't even think he got to 3,000 passing yards.
Exactly my point. You got receivers like that, and you're paying them big money. But that's not the direction that the team's going to go because you done paid, not even getting too much into them. But A.J. Brown's getting paid considerable, $32 million a year? Saquon Barkley is now a $20 million a year running back. Devontae Smith, I think, makes around 21, 22, 23.
I'm sure.
Maybe even more than that. Maybe 26, 28. So, teams is out there paying. I don't know how much money Philly's putting on the front end because they damn sure was trying to go after Myles Garrett too.
Yeah, and that's why they got rid of a lot of players on defense. They're just cycling the contracts they've put out.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. My whole thing of getting at that was is that a lot of people give credit to some of these coaches for a player maybe playing good for a season or two. I'm the type of person I look at everything in context, not trying to take away from the person, but just look at everything in context. What was helped to be successful. So Anthony Richardson, like I said, coaches. There are a lot of coaches that probably deserve a second chance and honestly shouldn't take the jobs that they took. I was upset when Josh McDaniels went to the Raiders. Just off the simple fact of I knew it wasn't going to work because you're talking about a Raiders team that literally botched 6 first-round picks in a 3-year span. I don't know if it can get much worse than that. Henry Ruggs went to prison. Damon Arnett wanted to be on the internet showing guns, threatening people. And he was a bust anyway. Alex Leatherwood, you got rid of him after the season, and it don't even look like he really played any games. You took him 18th in the draft. That was a reach. Cleveland Farrell, you reached for him at the 4th pick in the draft in 2019. They had years and years of failure And I knew Josh McDaniels going in there trying to right that ship and without a quarterback was probably going to, probably not going to work out because everybody, Derek Carr. Yeah, Derek Carr. Derek Carr is who he is at this point in his career. I think we figured that out maybe a couple years into his career. He's not a bad quarterback, but he's not a very good quarterback. He has some very good moments.
Yeah, he's very run-of-the-mill. He's going to he may lose you some games, he may win you some games. Nothing crazy.
Like, you're not, because we don't see no Derek Carr winning playoff games and things like that. And you may get some people, but what about Matthew Stafford? Everybody knew how talented Matthew Stafford was, but
he was always a dog.
Just the Detroit Lions organization. When you're that bad for 30 years, that tells you a lot about the organization, why they're not worried about losing no money, because they own basically half of Detroit, the Ford family I'm talking about. They own that team. I'm not sure if they still own the Pistons, but a lot of things in Detroit, the Ford family owns. So, they weren't worried about winning like that. So now they got good trades. I feel like if the Patriots don't love who they got at number 4, then they should trade out of it and try to get as much as they can. Having an extra first-round pick in next year's draft, I would be perfectly comfortable with that. If you told me the Patriots traded the 4th pick and they have 2 years and 2 picks in next year's draft.
Especially where next year's draft is so much. Yeah, the next year is going to be awesome. That's going to be such a good draft.
And let's just hope we're not bad, but if we aren't that good of a team and Arch Manning comes out of the draft and you're in a position, but you probably would have to be.
Well, we don't even have to worry. Like, let's say we trade with like the Raiders. We just have to hope that the Raiders suck.
Right. That's what I'm saying. We're not going to trade with a contender because they're all the way at the bottom of the board anyway. And I'm sorry, I don't want you to trade down that fucking far. You know what I'm saying?
No,
because
I still want to be at least top 12. Top 10 would be the most ideal, but you want to be on the top at least.
Like I said, we got to hope for Shedeur to go to Cleveland because it looks like Cam Ward is going to Tennessee.
Cam Ward's basically a lock at this point.
Yeah, we got to hope that Shedeur goes to Cleveland. But if Shedeur goes to Cleveland, I'm going to be honest with you. I already know who's going to the Giants. It's going to be Travis Hunter.
Yeah, right.
Because they don't exactly need Abdul Carter. You're still Kayvon Thibodeau and Brian Burns. We haven't seen it at its peak yet. I don't know if it may ever get there, but it looked good at times last year. But
Hunter's just if the both quarterbacks are taken, that's another lock of Travis Hunter going there.
Giants are in a peculiar spot though. The Giants and the Browns, like I know, like we see mock drafts at one of them taking up Bill Carter, or they're not in a position. Neither organization are really in a position to bypass the quarterback. So the Giants, though I feel like 3 is a bad spot. Though we look at like, damn, 4 is a sucky spot. As we get closer and really look at a lot of these rosters, and now free agency has like cleared up. We know who went where. And Aaron Rodgers is probably the only other quarterback out there, and they're talking Pittsburgh. But what happens if they don't get Rodgers? Pittsburgh may start talking moving up the board. But
Dart. I heard Dart. You like Dart?
Who the hell wants to trade down that far? Oh, if y'all want to trade up for Dart, but I'm not going down that far. I'm sorry. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the Patriots, like I said, like if they could even trade back to 9, stay in front of
if we stay top 10.
Take Campbell right there. You want to take Campbell right there. You won't hear a complaint out of me.
Nope.
You want anything. Because even if Campbell turns into a guard, everybody's like, oh, you don't take a guard that high. That's bullshit. The Colts took Quentin Nelson with the 6th pick in which draft, I think. I got to look it up. But you can look it up. Quentin Nelson, possibly a Hall of Fame guard.
We still need a left guard, technically, right? Both the left side of the offensive line are just as, right? I'd say they're both equally needed, right? I mean, because we have technically Cole Strange, but he's not reliable enough. Like, I think if we can get either of them, that'd be super ideal.
Yeah, like I said, it would only be one reason why the Patriots would be justified to take Will Campbell at 4, or he becomes their first round pick, is if you can't get your hands on Hunter or Carter.
Right.
And like I said, if this is a lackluster draft, then okay, I can accept that. Okay, you had to take a guard. It was a need, and you felt like every other skill position player, whatever the case may be, this draft isn't that draft.
Yeah,
and
it's like
guard. He turns out
in
2 years, who's going to give a shit? If Will Campbell comes in and make all pros and everything like that, and the offensive arrow is pointing up, nobody's going to care. Right. Especially by next year, they're going to be talking about the Patriots' last 3 first-round picks: Drake May, Christian Gonzalez, and then Will Campbell. And it's like, oh, well, who are we going to add to this bunch? Blase, this, that, and the third. So that's why I'm not even like, they better not take him or anything like that. Like, listen, if it measured at 33 at the pro day, everybody's arms, like they said, like literally out of 20 guys that measured at the combine, their arms are always longer at their pro day.
Mm-hmm.
And notice that guys tend to run faster at their pro day. That's why guys are, I'm not running at the combine. Run at the pro day, got the stopwatch. See, Jalen Milroy ain't run at the combine. As soon as he gets to Alabama pro day, he puts up a 4.37.
Yeah.
You know, and I feel like in his, I wish teams would target, target him a little more. Because like I said, then that gives us more leverage as well. That if Jalen Milroy starts to climb to the top of the board, the top of the draft starts to look a little bit more attractive, where the Patriots can get out of spots and get something in return.
Yeah, I was hoping that he'd have a bigger splash with these off-season workouts, but it doesn't really.
I feel like he's getting a negative mark for something that's not exactly his fault, and which is what we was talking about, the Anthony Richardson thing. Mm-hmm. You know, we compare players all the time, but like, I told anybody, you look at them, bro, hell no. He actually can play. We're not going to act like he can't throw. He needs to fix his mechanics. He needs to go somewhere where he can be developed, and he has the potential to be in this new age type of NFL with that athleticism at quarterback. If he can get the skills correct, there you have another quarterback on your hand that can be dynamic in this league, because at this point, they all have to be able to move. They all have to be able to move. We didn't know Justin Fields could scramble like that until he got to the league, but he still sucks at passing. You feel me? He still sucks at passing. Dude, we know you're an athlete. That's why if it was me, I know I can run fast. I know I'm strong. That's not where I'm going to focus my game at. If I'm a little too big and my accuracy is a problem for me to get the ball there, I'm going to go focus on my skills. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's not enough skill training with some of these guys coming into the league. It's just literally not, because more first round picks are bust. Like, you got higher chances of getting a better guy in the third round. You doing the first round anymore these days.
Right. Yeah.
Like, how many guys is like really panning out? It's like these guys are crazy picks, or you got to look around in multiple drafts. Yeah, this guy came out the 5th round. This guy came from here. This guy came from there. These first round picks, like I said, so if this is the draft, that if you can't get your hands on them 2 players and you feel like Campbell is the next best, and the Patriots came out and said, listen, we didn't like a lot of other guys in the draft at that point, and this was a need for us, we went out and got them. I'm not even going to argue with you. I'm not, because Drake needs the protection.
Right. It's a very massive need. And
he needs the protection.
I know they're talking about like not drafting for need, but like if he is the only one that's available after Carter and Hunter, right? He's the best prospect for the linemen. I mean, he's the best offensive lineman in college. Yeah, so it makes sense. It's a pick that makes sense. Yeah, because it would suck if we couldn't trade down, but like if they're like, yeah, no one wanted to trade up, it's like, okay, well, there you go.
I promise it is. I will accept it, because it's not like he's a bad player. Like, we're nitpicking. You know what I mean? I'm not going to lie. I was on that train, too, after hearing some of the numbers. But I'm nitpicking. What? Because if we talk about him as a player, he's a complete dog.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We're just nitpicking, saying he got stubby arms and everything else and in between. But like realistically, like how much is that like playing out on a down by down basis? You're not telling me that Will Campbell's going to come into this league and be a pushover. I don't see it. Because like you said, it's not like it's a lot of elite edges in the league anyway. So how many guys you think just going to be beating him off the edge, getting back to Drake May?
Right. And you also don't think he's going to bust his fucking ass to like be good. Like,
Right.
that's like all he's done his entire life.
Yeah, you see no other red flags besides, the arm length. And like I said, I was talking shit at first too. But looking at it as a whole overall picture, as much as we sucked at receiver, and it's crazy that I'm about to say this, but it's a lot easier to get a good receiver than it is to find that left tackle. Because you're looking for them because they don't hit the market. San Fran got lucky getting Trent Williams. But outside of that, the Ronnie Stanley, man, Baltimore make sure he ain't even hit the market. All these guys that are supposed to be good tackles, they're not hitting the market. But how many good tackles are there in the league? Like, being honest. Like, if we could look at a whole scope, how many good tackles are there in the league?
Yeah, I mean, there's not a ton, right? Because most people just have average, but they keep them because, right, an average offensive tackle is good enough. Like, that's good, right? I mean,
that's what I'm saying. So if you got to take Will Campbell there and you can't get Hunter or Carter, then you take him. Because now, guess what? I would like to see when Drake May has more time in the pocket on a more consistent basis. I mean, you might not be thinking about the receiver because maybe now he has more time to get the ball to Diggs, a booty, or improvise and make a play. Ooh. You feel me? You're giving your playmaker more
and it
time.
helps
What do you do?
Mondre, right? Or whoever, whatever running back.
Everybody. You know, a good wide receiver, yeah, it helps the team, but does it help the running back? Does it help good offensive lineman? Helps the quarterback? Helps the wide receiver? Helps the running back. So, like I said, like if Will Campbell is the pick there, I'm not mad at all.
No,
I could take it there. Like I said, even if you got to take him over Hunter or Carter, you just showed me you prioritize protecting Drake May. Cool. Like, as much as it would suck, like, damn, I want to see. If you have,
he's not a fun pick, but he is a good pick.
Right.
Like, that's kind of the biggest issue.
Makes all the sense in the world. Like, if you had to take him right there, then I'm okay with it. Even if, like I said, if it had to come down to that, I would hope that if that was the case, you would trade back with somebody because somebody's going to come for that pick.
Right. That's the thing. And, like, yeah.
If somebody's going to come for that pick.
Yeah, people are going to trade up for Travis Hunter. Like, I can guarantee you at least 20 teams would be willing to trade up for Travis Hunter.
And
who wouldn't want him?
And if you trade it, I wouldn't criticize him. Because if you have to trade it and then you get Will Campbell and you got 2 picks in next year's draft, that's filling out the roster. Because now that's more than taking Travis Hunter. He's probably going to be great at either or position he plays, but that's one player. Now you just trade it back. You got somebody to protect the quarterback, and you still obviously you're going to get player, and you're probably going to get something in this draft too, so you can bring in more.
Right, we can still trade up into the first round at the end and get
golden.
Right,
yeah,
exactly.
So you know what I'm saying? Like there's a path. It's just let's see what they do. I just hope this ain't no heavy defensive draft, or I don't want to see a defensive pick within like the first 3 picks. I can't do it. And I love defense, but it's like I done seen the best of our defense lose 3 games straight with only giving up 10 points or less. So clearly, you know what I'm saying? Clearly, offense, that's what we need. That's what we need to score, to be in the playoffs, and be with everybody else. Pittsburgh's done it for years with the freaking whole defense thing. Yeah, it looks all nice and cool when TJ Watt gets a sack. Their win percentage goes up by like 85% or something. All that stuff's cool until it's late in the fourth quarter and you see Russell Wilson trying to throw moon balls down the field getting picked off, or every Monday night, whatever. Like, or now that your fan base is getting loud. Yeah, we haven't had a losing season, but we haven't won a playoff game since 2016.
Right. When they had Ben Roethlisberger, Le'Veon Bell, Antonio Brown, right? Like,
you feel what I'm saying? That's how you prevent that. Like I said, I love defense. You know, that's my favorite side of the ball, but I see you got Stefon Diggs. You addressed a lot of things in free agency that you should have. So now, like I said, and the more I'm talking about it, the more I'm leaning that Campbell should be the pick over Carter and over Travis Hunter. And if one of them are there and a team is enticed in the Patriots, you really feel in your heart of hearts that, hey, we can get another pick next year, some more picks this year, and we can get a guy to protect Drake May. We can potentially be in a win-now mode. You know what I mean? Where you win 8 or 9 games or something like that, fight for a playoff spot at the end of the season. Cool. You're not going to be worried about if you got Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter at that point. The only way you're going to be worried about it is if we take a guy and the guy just stinks and the team stinks again and our sack production is down, or we're not getting production from the wide receivers because we know what we're going to get from the corner. So we're just going to exclude that talking about Travis Hunter. So we get production from the wide receivers. Are you really going to be mad? You get and Will Campbell is keeping Drake May nicely protected, and you have extra picks in a much higher graded draft, where that pick now may become so attractive that you could potentially have more picks going into the year after draft if you have to trade out of that spot. Houston's did it. Minnesota's done it. All these teams that had multiple first-round picks over the years has gotten better. Buffalo has did it because you know they were the one that traded the pick for Patrick Mahomes.
Right.
They traded with the Kansas City Chiefs and they got an extra first-round pick out of it going into the following year's draft.
Eagles did it. I mean,
they had 3 of them. That's why they looked the way they had 3 of them, and they flipped them, and the Eagles
and they hit on everything.
It worked out because you have that opportunity to sit there and continue to get good players. They didn't get Devonta Smith from their own pick. That was the Saints pick. You know what I'm saying? That was the Saints pick. Or not. Yeah, that was the Saints pick because the Saints had to trade up. I think they traded up to get that tackle, Trevor Pennington or something like that in one of the drafts. And I think the Eagles ended up getting their first-round pick in the following year's draft, and they ended up trading that, or maybe it was the Dolphins or the 49ers. I don't know. Those picks were getting moved around a lot at some point. Philly had 3 of them sitting in their hand. I think they traded one, and the fruit just kept on coming from there.
Yeah. Yep.
They were able to get it. No, they were able to get Jalen Carter with the Saints pick because remember the Eagles were a good team, but they had a top 10 pick because the Saints stunk it up because they traded them their first-round pick from the previous year to trade up. They had 2 picks the previous year. I think they took Olave and Pennington. And Philly had their pick the next year, and the Saints were scheduled to pick at number 10 or number 9 or something like that. And Jalen Carter fell right there, and that's what Philly took him at.
Yep. Yeah. Real quick before we end, there was something that I wanted to bring up. Stefon Diggs, jersey number. Right, 14 Spillane has. 1 is Polk.
Polk bonds will get that up. He ain't got no jerseys out there. He might pay less if he number changed now.
Well, I was wondering, number 11 is Dobbs. I can see Dobbs giving it up. I think 11.
Like they should retire that number.
They should have retired it. The second Edelman retired. The second Tyquan Thornton got it, I was so mad at the organization. And then after Tyquan, it was who had it?
Tyquan was the last number 11.
Well, someone else had it. Someone else that stinks.
I mean, we just got rid of Tyquan last year, so he came right after Edelman.
Was it just Tyquan?
Yeah, it was Tyquan.
But still, total disrespect. But if Diggs should get number 11. I think that'd be cool.
Yeah, like me personally, like I said, like you notice the Patriots don't let no one wear 54, just any old body. 24, except for when he let Joshua Bledsoe wear it. I was a little confused by that because from what I understand, Ty Law, you kind of got to get like that approval from Ty Law. Like you got to be that dog in the secondary, like at corner, to even get that number. So I don't know why they're giving out Edelman's like numbers so freely. Like I said, I feel like that should be retired. Just that catch versus the Falcons, like however you want to put it, the Super Bowl versus the Rams, like Edelman. Like I don't care. He's in my top.
Drew Bledsoe too, right? That's a double, right?
Yeah.
Drew Bledsoe's a Hall of Famer for the Pats.
Yeah, so it's like you should probably like pull that number down. Diggs, number 2 maybe.
Oh, that sucks. Jalen Polk should just give it up.
That's what I said. He should give that up because he probably ain't. Think about how many Jalen Polk jerseys you think they produced last year. Probably not a lot because they got to buy it out. So I'll buy it out now with my, you know what I mean? Hey, look, man, I ain't do nothing to deserve number 1. But I had one fucking catch last year. That's what I did.
Yeah, right. But, all right, well, it was good talking to you. We'll have to see you next week.
You put up a Brady Grunk last year, 12 for 87.
Right.
I'm going to catch you, though, bro.
Yeah.
We're on to Cincinnati. It's nothing about the past, nothing about the future. It's right now we're preparing for Cincinnati.
Okay, do you feel like the talent you have here is good?
We're getting ready for Cincinnati.
What is your responsibility?
I'm just asking, do you think you've done enough to help Tom Brady?
We're getting ready for Cincinnati.